All right. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Today we're going to be doing some exploration on the audio device manager and the connecting and disconnecting um, MIDI devices and how we do that. So I hope everybody's doing well, and we're going to get started very shortly. So what I'm going to do is I am going to set up a the past couple of weeks I've been working through this DJ app that I've been working on through an eternity, and the one of the issues that I've not really an issue, but just something that I've been thinking about is that some of the code that I've written, some of the code for the app I've written, some stuff um, other people have written, and so now what I'm doing is I'm starting to, um, as I'm getting a better understanding of some of the concepts, now what I'd like to do is I want to take and strip back some of the things that I've done and basically create a whole a blank project that where I'm able to experiment and maybe implement some of these concepts from scratch again, and be able to compare this bare bones example side by side along with the one that we currently have in the app, and just basically see if there are ways that I can simplify what I currently have or not, um, and learn a few lessons along the way, and hopefully everybody that's tuning in will hopefully pick up some things. And if you see things that I could be doing more effectively, please feel free to let me know or chime in on the chat. So we have some people still joining, and I see that Sebastian's tuning in from Chile. I hope everything's well in Chile. Bienvenidos. And yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started basically. Um, so here I have this app that I've been working on for quite some time, and it has a lot of settings and a lot of different things. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this over here to my second window, and I'm actually going to start a new JUCE project. So I'm going to begin anew, and I think this will be helpful as well, because then it'll allow some people watching to see maybe if they're unfamiliar, how to implement some of these things from scratch, and also it'll be a great reminder to me how to implement some of these things. So I'm a little bit rusty. So what we're doing is just to give you an overview of what we're looking at today. This is going to be a standalone application, so something like a DAW, an app, like a DJ, in this case a DJ app, and and in any type of standalone application. So let's say if we were doing a DAW, there would be some type of central settings menu that would define what the sample rate is, what the bit depth is, what your audio device inputs and outputs are, if you have any MIDI devices connected, things like that. And JUCE actually has some great facilities for setting this up, and we're going to explore those. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference some of my previous code. Like I said, some of it I've written, some of it I haven't. I haven't written, and it's been written by developers much more skilled than myself, and just see what we run into, and go through some exploration along the way. So we have a new JUCE project here. I'm just going to call this audio device manager. And this is a audio application, so it's not a plugin, it's an audio application. And I'm going to go ahead and create this project. I'll just put it on my desktop. And I will go ahead and open this project now. And in here we have a main a main source file, which is essentially what kicks off our JUCE application itself, and then we have the main component, which is more or less the heart and soul of the application, of an audio application in itself. So we have this. So this is a little bit like an audio processor if you've ever used the JUCE, a JUCE plugin template. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open a window here, and I'm just going to go to our class index. Oh, it looks like they've been reorganizing some of this. That's pretty cool. And now, one thing that I'm already aware of is that, well, actually let's go into audio app component. The audio app component class. So we're going to go in here and we're going to take a look at what it says, and just start getting some ideas of what's happening. So we have, so it says it's base class for writing audio apps that stream from the audio input and output devices. So we can see that audio app component is both an audio source. So audio source is just your base class where you're doing your audio processing, but it's also, interestingly, a component class as well. So it's a component in the way that it's also a visual class as well. So it's almost like the audio processor and the audio processor editor in one class. So you can see that it has the audio processing capabilities, prepare to play, get next audio block, and then it also has component capabilities as well. So visual capabilities that you would use to define your user interface, such as paint and resize. However, as you work through, I don't know if this may be, I find it a little bit confusing in that my understanding, well, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go back and say why I was wrong about this, that you have this class that, and under normal circumstances, they say separate your audio processing and your data processing and your UI handling, user interface handling, because in a plugin, when you close out a plugin window, then it doesn't exist anymore. And if you have audio processing within audio processing logic and behavior that's within your visual, how you're describing your visual components, then what happens is since that doesn't exist anymore, the audio processing that's happening within that within that UI component doesn't exist anymore either. So what would happen is that your plugin would break. But I guess thinking about it, maybe it makes a little bit more sense that within an audio app, such as this, an audio application that's not a plugin, your user interface would always exist. So there's never going to, unless you actually close out of the application. So I guess it does make sense that in this case, the main component would contain both audio logic and user interface logic, because you're not going to run into a situation where you're closing out the application unless you actually mean to close out the application, if that makes any sense. So so we can also see that if we go back to our documentation here, that the audio app component contains an audio device manager. So you don't have to create your own audio device manager to start handling all of these things. So when I say handling all these things, handling things like managing the state of the audio and the MIDI inputs and outputs, there's already a base class that's set up for this. So so there's already this this audio device manager that's here. So now what do we want to do? So let's think about what we're trying to do for this live stream. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to strip this. I wanted to take some of the logic that I have set up in my DJ application, and I wanted to strip it back to its most kind of bare bones. So essentially accessing the audio device manager itself and controlling, so setting up some logic where when I connect my DJ mixer, that it will identify that this mixer is connected and automatically set our audio input and output of the application to this device. So like I said, since the main component is inheriting from JUCE audio app component, I could actually just go and call or find the audio device manager by just saying device manager. So if I put in here device manager, see that automatically comes up, and now I can see that I can access the audio device manager, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to build this really quickly as I'm thinking through what I would like to do, and just to explore what we actually have. So I believe there's a audio device manager component that where in a so as we can see, we got this building successfully. There's nothing here at the moment. So if I remember correctly, JUCE actually has a component. When I say component, what I mean is a visual representation of the audio device manager. And now I just need to actually remember what that is. So I'm just going to duplicate this this tab here. Go back to the class list see if there's a device component, audio device selector component. I think that's what I'm looking for. So a component containing controls to let the user change. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. So there's a component containing controls to let the user change the audio settings of an audio device manager object. Okay, so let's see how we create one of these. So we have, so to create an audio device selector component, we're going to have to pass in the device manager that we want the component to manage, the minimum number of audio input channels, the maximum number of input channels, the minimum number of output channels, maximum number of output channels. There's a show MIDI input options, which I think we would want to be true because we want to show what if we have any MIDI input options. Show the MIDI output selector, so we'll put that as yes. Show channels as stereo pairs. Hide advanced options with buttons. So there's quite a bit in here. So let's just put this into our main class and see if we can actually get this thing to appear, right? So I will go into the header, and we aren't going to really worry about factoring all of this just yet until we have some stuff set up. Then we can actually start setting up some other classes and pulling this out into other classes as we create more complex behavior. So first thing I'm going to do is declare a JUCE audio device selector component. And let's call this audio device selector. Yeah, so I would just call it that. So now what we need to do is we need to initialize this. So the way that we can do this is we go to our main component here, and what we could do is we could use list initialization to actually do this. So device, so what did we call this? Audio device, I always forget what I call these things. Audio device selector. And now we have all of these arguments that we need to pass in. So as I mentioned before, the JUCE audio app component already comes built in with a device manager, which is actually just called device manager. So now we want the minimum number of input channels and the maximum number of input channels. So for now, let's just make the minimum 2, the maximum 2. And the number of output channels, we could just, let's make that 2. So let's just make everything, let's just try to make everything stereo at the moment. So then we have these options that where we can show various MIDI input options, the MIDI output selector, show the channels as stereo pairs, hide or show the advanced options. So I'm gonna, to start off, I'm just gonna show everything. So let's just try that first. So show MIDI input options, we will put true. Show MIDI output selector, true. Show channels as stereo pairs. So I will show you the difference between those. So we will put true for now. Hide advanced options with button. So we will put true because I think that means that you can hit a button and it will, and it basically takes all those advanced, the advanced options and it makes them appear with the click of a button. I'm going to get rid of some of this, some of these comments here because they just, what's the word, obfuscate the what we're trying to do here. Get rid of all this stuff. And okay, so now we want to make the audio device selector appear on the screen. So I can just say there's a function for component classes that we could use called add and make visible. And we can just pass in the audio device selector since that is a component. And then what we could do is in resized, this is where we can set our how big we want the audio device selector to be. So since we don't have anything else at the moment that we're trying to display, I'm just going to set it to the width and the height of what we already have displayed. So I could just say audio device selector, set bounds, and what I could do is you can pass in an X, a Y, a width, and a height, or you can also pass in a what's called a rectangle object, which that gets you the width and the height kind of packed into one call using this call called get bounds. So get bounds, if we just click into that, jump into definition, it says return this component's bounding box. In this case, this component means the main component, the component that we're residing in at the moment. So with all of that being said, when I build this, hopefully this will show our audio device selector component. And let's see what happens. And boom, there we go. We have an audio device selector component, and we can see that this is currently set to my Universal Audio Thunderbolt. And as we set in our audio device selector, I set there was a parameter or a boolean that asked if I wanted to set the audio inputs and outputs as stereo pairs, and that's exactly what it's done here. See how it says line 1 plus 2, 3 plus 4. If I had this set to false, so let's just try that really quick. And we can just rebuild this. Oh, hit the wrong button. We will see that it will then separate it separates them, right? And another thing that you'll notice is that since I set the minimum and the maximum number of input and output channels to 2, then what happens is I can't unselect a channel. There always has to be two. There always has to be 2 channels that are active. So see, when I just click on another one, there's always 2 channels that are active. So then we have this this other, so we go, there was this other one, hide advanced options with button. So we can see here that, sorry, just getting the right windows here, there's this button that's hidden our advanced settings, even though that doesn't look the way that we want to. So see how I've hit show advanced settings, and it's kind of crumpled all this up. So I'm very curious to see what happens if I just change this to false, if this will automatically move down oh, there we go. So it looks like we're fine there. So now the advanced options looks like it was the sample rate and the buffer size that you can change, that are these advanced options. You also have MIDI inputs and MIDI outputs as well, and currently there are none because there's nothing that's actually plugged in. So all of this is cool. So now the next thing that we want to do is we want to take a look and see if we plug in a MIDI device. So I have a DJ mixer here that's also that's a MIDI device and an audio device. Will it so we want it to hopefully turn up. So one of the nice things here that we can see is that the audio device selector component and the audio device manager inherits from change broadcaster. So a change broadcaster is basically a piece of logic that says, okay, we're going to listen for any changes in this audio device, and if there's changes, then we're going to broadcast this. Then we've got this change listener that will hopefully, what will happen is that we will that when we connect the device, that hopefully the device will update the component, and the component and the audio device selector will then reflect the new MIDI device. So I'm just going to turn on my DJ mixer, I'm going to plug it in, and we can see if that's going to work or not. Okay, so here's the device manager, and I'm just going to go over here and turn this on and plug it into the computer. Okay, so I've turned it on, and now I'm not sure if you can see this, but here's my USB, and I'm just going to plug this into the computer, and let's see if this works or not. Okay, cool. So that is awesome. If you were paying attention, you would see that the input and the output have just changed to the DJ mixer, DJM S9. So this is nice because, and we can also see as well that the active MIDI inputs that we could select the Pioneer DJM S9. And if we wanted the MIDI output, we could also select that as well. So that's pretty cool. So this actually works fine. One thing that I was thinking about is that does this actually, let's think for a moment about the situation. So in the previous application that I still have, there was all this logic that we set up for that I set up that said, okay, if this mixer is actually I can just show you. So let me see if I can pull this up. I had created this mixer class. So this is a whole other project. So we had so I had a situation where essentially what was happening is that there's an issue or a situation where when you connect different mixers, they have a different number of input channels, output channels, the sample rate that you want it to run at, all of those things. And we can see this in this, so I created this mixer class or struct, and we can see some of the issues that I've come up against along the way as I've tried different mixers. So one of those is that the audio name, the audio name of the device and the MIDI name of the device could be the same, but they also could be different. Another issue that I ran into was that there were some mixers where you had four channels of audio, and what you could do is you could grab channels 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, and you would basically get the audio. So if you know audio mixers, you're going to have at least normally two channel pairs of audio. So on some mixers, what you have is where those are processed differently. So or separately, where you could let me think about this. So in your audio process block, you would have access to, instead of like 2 channels of audio, for a stereo pair, you'd have access to maybe 4 channels of audio. And that what you could do is you could do something to channels 1 and 2, you could do channels to 3, and you could do something to channels 3 and 4, and then you could mix them together in the processing block, and that would be fine. Then you had this other type of mixing that would sometimes happen on other mixers, which I've described as internal mixing, which means that the mixing of the channels has to happen, that the mixer only gives you 2 channels of audio, and that if you have 2 separate pieces of audio that you need to mix together, you need to do all of that essentially manually within the process block yourself. And I can't remember exactly how I did that, but essentially that's what you're dealing with. So that's the reason why I had created this class. So let's take a look here. So let's just transplant some of this behavior over. So what this is saying is that so this particular mixer that I'm using at the moment is a Pioneer DJM S9, and we have the mixer audio name, which is DJMS9. And as we can see in this case, the audio name and the MIDI device name are different. So audio device name is DJMS9, but the MIDI device name is Pioneer DJ DJMS9. So you need something that is able to, you need some logic where you say, if the audio device is called, so prospectively, when you connect your, when you connect an audio device and you have this application open, you would basically say, hey, if it's one of these devices that that I've registered here, like the Pioneer DJMS9, then I want the audio devices to set to the audio input and output to set to the DJMS9. I want the MIDI devices to set to Pioneer DJMS9. And then I want the sample rate to set to 48,000. Then 64, I think, is the sample, is the buffer size. Yes, so we got the buffer size, which is 64. Then also another thing is you may want to get the channel and the CC of a parameter, like if you wanted a button, or if you wanted the crossfader, or if you wanted one of the channels of audio. Then mixers have different, if we're talking about, like, let's say channel one level, they're going to have different mixer channels, different mixer CCs, and that's what's defined here. In this case, it's the crossfader. Then we have how many channel ins we want, how many channels out that we want. Left val, I'm not sure, I can't remember what left val was. Just trying to remember what that. Oh yes, now I remember. So another thing that I encountered was that so let's say you're talking, if you're talking about the crossfader, which is going left to right, so this is essentially a slider, right? You have an issue of where some mixers, the left value, the minimum value of 0 is on the left hand side, but there were other mixers where the minimum value of 0 was on the right hand side. So sometimes you had to reverse your logic, and that was another situation that I encountered as I was making this. So interesting stuff. So let's see. So going back to I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put this back to the side for now. So now we want logic where if I connect, so now the next step in this process is that we want logic that if I were to connect this mixer, that it automatically sets the sample rate to what I want the sample rate set to. It sets the number of input and output channels to whatever number of input and output channels I want it to set to, and so on. So I remember that there were some complexities. I remember when doing this. That we will get to check out. So let's think about this as if we were doing it from scratch, right? So it could be something as simple as so let's look at our audio device manager. And so now what I'm looking for is, oh yes, now I'm remembering how this actually works. So the audio device manager has an audio device setup. So this is a structure that holds a set of properties describing the current audio setup. So I'm just going to open that in another tab. And this is where we can look at the input device name and output device name. And then the question that I remember this was a problem that I had where I wanted to look and see how to set. I'm going to try to do this without looking at my prior code. I'm going to look, I'm thinking about, so now we can get the name of the audio device that's currently being used, but how do we actually set the actual device to that to the proper device? That was something that I remember having a problem with. So that's the audio device setup. Here is the component. And here is the audio device manager. Okay. So we have set. So this changes the class of audio device being used. So here we have a set default MIDI output device. But what about audio device? Let's see here. So here we go. Set audio device setup. Okay. So we can get, so what we want to do is, so let's just open a text editor here really quick, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very high level think about what behavior we want. Okay, so device, so one is device gets connected, right? And then we want set the audio device, no, first we want to check if audio device is in our list. Then if yes, then set audio device to set audio input and output to the device. Set MIDI input and output to the device. Okay, and then if no, then what? Do nothing. Yeah. So we got set audio device, set audio input and output of device to the device. We also need to set sample rate and buffer size to desired settings. And what else? Is there anything else? So let's see here. So I think that's fine for now. That feels like a good set of items that we could do. So device gets connected. Check if the audio device is on our quote unquote list, right? So let's just try to do a very simple simple test of this. So let's create a function. Check. What shall we call this? We could call it check device. Check if device is on list. Let's see. Check if. So what are we doing? We're checking if the device that we've connected is in our list. Check if device. So I'm trying not to do really long function names. So let's see. Check scan device list, scan mixer list. Maybe that could return a bool. Scan mixer for scan list for connected device. Scan if what about bool is connected device on list? Well, that's a little bit long, but let's just try that. So bool main component, and then in here we want scan list if let's see, if found load, else so let's see, if found load, return true, else return false. So now this needs to go into a place where, so this needs to go into like a change callback that happens when the device scans, right? So when this is connected, there's something within the audio device manager that says, hey, something has happened. Something has happened, list this new device. So let's see if we can find where that is, right? Because we have a I don't want to change any of that behavior. Uh-oh, audio device manager. So why does it not do that? So I could do a Command Shift F, audio device manager. So I'm actually just looking for the audio device manager. Okay. So here is our audio device manager. So we'll just go into the header. And let's just read through the documentation for a moment and see what we see. So just to repeat the problem space. Basically, I'm in this. I'm in my main component. I want to create this. I want to create this logic that that says if basically I'm going to make a list that's going to have a list of devices that are the approved device, that are kind of the approved devices for this application. If the device is on this list, then I want it to automatically set, I want the device manager to automatically set the device, the audio input and MIDI input and output to this device. Okay. The audio device manager already has a change listener callback. So basically it's listening for changes. If I plug in a USB device, if I plug in a MIDI controller, it already listens and makes those changes accordingly. So so now the question is, how can I get this bit of logic into the same space as the audio, the change callback that happens in the audio device manager. So this is my question. So to do that, we just first need to take a look and see where. So we have this callback handler. Okay. So audio. So okay, here we go. Audio device list changed. So let's see what owner is. So interesting. Owner is an audio device manager. So it looks like there is an audio device list changed that we can that we can access, which is nice. So that means that I should be able to come back here and so we're going to need, So audio app component. So we're going to need some type of mechanism that's going to detect that's going to set these actions in motion when this changes. So where am I? So let's go back here again. So audio device list changed. So device list. Okay, so that is audio device manager. Let's see. What am I missing here? I'm in the audio device manager class. Is that a private function? What am I missing here? Device, what was it called? Let me see, changed. Device list changed. Okay, so we have a problem in that that device list changed is a private function of audio device manager. Right, this is the audio device manager class, right? Yes, yes it is. So that's a private function. Okay, so that is that's problematic. Okay, so let's just take a look through our public functions here. So so initialize. So I'm just looking to see if there's anything that that actually allows me to. Okay, so just thinking this has made me think now. So audio device manager is a change broadcaster. So I will have access to all the public functions of this as well. So yeah, so we should be able to say so let's see here. So okay, so what if I made another class that was a change listener? So let's just write this down. So what we know is audio device manager is a change broadcaster. we need something to listen for this change and act and set devices accordingly, right? So, okay. So this starts making me think that this will need to sit in a different class. So what if, should I just create it up here really quick? So we have a class, maybe we'll call it device scanner. This will inherit from JUCE change listener. Okay. So now we need to go to the change listener class. I hate when my zoom controls get in the way of what I'm trying to do here. So we'll duplicate this, go to the class list. Now we want to go to change listener. Okay, so receives change event callbacks sent out by a change broadcaster, right? Sounds like exactly what we're looking for. So we have a virtual, pure virtual function called change listener callback that we must implement. So this will be void change listener callback. This will be override because it's a pure virtual function. Oh yes, so I'm using the JUCE, not using the JUCE namespace, so I need to do that. So in here, I basically need to get all this. I need to get all this logic, right? So what it'll do is a scan list, find it, and if it's found, it's load. It will load. I don't think we need to return true or return false now. It'll just, if it finds it, it loads it. Yeah, basically that's exactly what it would do. Okay, so okay. So first thing is we need a list. So let's create class mixer. I'll just call it, how did I do this before? So let me think. So we would need a class called mixer. We need a class that holds a list of mixers. And then we need it to So I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off on creating the mixer list for the moment. I'm going to, I just want to create something that's really, really simple, just to make sure this actually works. So let's do a JUCE string. And I'll call that mixer, and then I will just intentionally set it to the name that I know that works for the name of the mixer, which is where is it? Mixer audio name DJMS9. Okay. Okay, how do I know that that's the name of the mixer? Well, I'll show you very shortly. So just waiting for this to come back up. It's just, here we go. So it's because I see it right there, DJMS9. So basically for now, this one string will be my mixer, quote unquote, mixer list. Now what we need is we need to look through the device. So we need to look through the device list. So let's think about this. So you plug in the device. Let's go back to our, so plug in the device. Right? So first step is check if the audio device is in our list. Okay, so check if audio device. So what we need to do is we need to go through our, we're going to need access to our audio device manager and check the list, right? And check the list of the devices, see if the string of that string is the same as any of our approved mixers, of which we only have one approved one at the moment. So what this means is that we're going to need access to the audio device manager. All right, so let's go back here. So I can get rid of this. That doesn't exist anymore. And so let's see here. So we're going to need to create a device scanner in our within our main component. But the thing is that we still need, so we need to register, the device scanner as a listener to the device manager. Okay, so let's just take a look here. So I'm just taking a look into our change broadcaster. We can call add change listener. So, okay, this is cool. So what I could do is, so here I'm just going to put UI, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a device scanner object. Then in my then here in the constructor of the main component, I'm going to add it as a listener. So this would be device manager, add change listener, device scanner, and then what I can do is I will make sure that I remove it as well when on shutdown. Remove, isn't there, oh, device manager. I think there's a remove all change listeners. There we go. So that's a safe way to remove anything that's listening. Oh, this, so this, I'm putting in the object. This needs to be the address of the object. So now what I should, what I can do is just to test if this actually works is I could just do std cout, this happened. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my USB device, and then I'm going to rebuild this. And it's building. Nice thing about starting new projects is that they build very quickly, which is really cool. Cool. So here we have our console. We have this. So theoretically, when I plug this in, we should see something that that says this happened in the console. So here we go. So hold on, it's because it's freaking sending strings every. Did it happen? How can I get rid of this freaking thing, whatever this is? Oh, actually I can do Command F, this. Ah, it happened, see? Look, this happened. So now we see that happened. Fantastic. Okay, so far so good. So we've created a change listener that listens for changes in the device manager, and it console'd out this happened. So this change listener callback successfully did what it was supposed to do. Fantastic. Now what we need to do is we want it to scan the list. We want to look at our list of mixers. We want to check it against the devices that the devices that are in the audio device manager, and if it's found, then load the device. So what this means is currently the device scanner does not have access to the audio device manager. So what we would need to do, probably the best way to do this, would be to create a constructor now. So now I can do device scanner, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass in a JUCE audio device manager. I'll just call this M. Now the problem becomes, how are you going to pass it in to change listener callback? So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create a reference audio device manager and device manager. So now what I can do is I'm going to say my device manager, not manger, is the device manager that I pass in, like that. Okay, and then now I can say if device manager something. So let's just put this in pseudocode right now. If device manager, it should hopefully we'll be able to get something like get device list. So then that implies that there would be a list. So something like for auto device in device manager get devices. So I don't know, these aren't like the official functions. I'm just going through the logic of what I would like to happen ideally. So device, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a for loop to go through each device, with device hopefully being like a JUCE string. Then it would say if device is equal to mixer, load. Okay, so that's basically what we would like to happen. So first things first, which is that we've declared a device scanner here now, but now what we need to do is, because we've changed the constructor, we need to now put this into our initialization list. So we got audio device selector, then we got this device scanner, and that's where we pass in device manager. All right, so let's see if that builds. Okay, so that builds, but we have a warning, which is concerning. Okay, field device selector will be audio device selector. Yes, so will be initialized. So my audio device selector is after the device scanner, which is, that's fine. So I just reverse these now. So the reason that has happened is because I've declared audio device selector after device scanner. So device scanner becomes first, device scanner comes first, so you must, or you should, declare it first. And then audio device selector. Even though I'm now thinking, no, it's fine. This is fine. So now that should go away. So now we're all good. And now we can continue on with our logic for the change listener callback. So now what we want to do is we want to start taking this logic that we've worked out, and we want to start putting this into practical real code. So first thing we need to do is see if and how we can get the device manager devices. So here we go. So so I don't need change listener, I don't need change broadcaster. I don't need this anymore. So here we go. So this is the current output device name. So that it would be great to have a list of the audio devices. Is there something like that? Here we go. Creates a list of types of devices supported. Oh, that's not quite what I was looking for. Returns the current device properties that are in use. Get current audio. So I'm looking for a function that would return a list of the audio devices. Okay, so let's look in audio device setup. Okay. The name of the audio device used for output. It's not quite what I had in mind. Oh, they're doing a nice little refresh on JUCE. Looks really good. List of audio devices. Okay, what about audio device? I don't think that you'd want audio device selector component. So let's see here. So let's go here. Selector. Okay. No, I didn't think so. Well, there's this one that shows the list box of the MIDI of all the MIDI devices. That's not quite what I'm looking for. How do you get a list of So here's the thing is that, okay, so we got audio device setup, which returns the current device properties that are in use. Okay. Okay. I was hoping that there would be a some function that returns a list of the devices. Okay, so so there must be a way that the audio device manager populates the combo box of the audio device manager component. So let's take a look at that for a moment. So let's see. So we got available device types. So I'm gonna do another tab here, and I'm going to look for audio device selector component. Okay, where is it? Okay, cool. So here we are. We're in this class. So now what I'm looking for is how the device selector component populates that list with the names of the devices. So let's take a look here. So we got paint, draw text layout, MIDI input, select update devices, da 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 da, best height, audio device setup details. Okay, so settings panel maybe? Audio device setup details. Okay, so there's going to be some sort of change. Okay, so resized, update configuration. Okay, this is starting to look a little bit like what we may. Okay. This looks like what something along the lines of what we're looking for. So where is this update config being called? Update outputs combo box. Output device. Okay. Show correct device name. Okay, where does it actually get the list of devices? How did I do this in my other project? Let me just check. Let me just check that. Maybe there's something that I'm missing. Mixers. 1 second. Device maybe so it looks like I missed it. So, okay, so going back here, I cheated and I found the answer that took me a long time before, which is that it is, that I misread it, and it is indeed get device types. Where is that? Device types. Get available device types. So this returns an owned array of audio I/O device types. So now let's look in this. Oh, this is exactly what we need. Get type. So get type name. Get device names. Okay. So so now we just need to go down the line of what we need to do. So going back to our project, so we got 4, so we need to go, so first thing that we need to do is we need to go audio device manager, get available device types. So this would be auto device list equals device manager get available device types. Device manager get available device types. Just want to make sure. So that returns a const owned array. So that should be const auto. Then it should be something like for auto device in, should this be a reference? Auto device in device manager get oh, this should be for auto and device in device list. If device so this is gonna return an audio I/O device type. Get device name. Get device names. Wait, so I'm confused. So this is a const array of audio device type. Returns the type of devices. Returns the types of device supported. Returns the type of driver that this object manages. Get index of device. Get device names. Okay, so this returns a virtual string array. I am confused. Oh, returns the type of audio driver. That's not what I want. Get available. So get available device types. Then this will return an owned array of audio I/O device type. Then you got, okay, so this is like a get device names. Okay, so it's like a so this should actually be, so let's see, call to deleted. Oh, that's not. Call to deleted constructor. So does that mean I need to make it a reference? There we go. So let's see. So it looks like it's nested. Yeah. So a couple comments in here. Wave Morpher says maybe it's a nested structure, devices within types, maybe maybe a nested for. Yes, that sounds like the case. So I'm going to change this to device types. So I'm going to say types, and then in here it will be for auto device in, oh, this would be type. In each type, do I need another? So that's going to return a string array of get device names. What? This needs to be like a triple nested. Device get device names. Okay. So for each device list, so for the device list in each type, then you need for auto, wow, device in the device list, let's just see what happens here. Device. Let's see if we could actually just get it to actually, if it actually gives us something that's along the lines of what we're looking for. Okay, so just got a couple invalid range expression, no viable, invalid range expression, invalid range expression of type audio I/O device, no viable begin function available. Okay. So this is virtual. Do I need to make this const? Okay. Just gonna try this for a second. Just gonna try it old school for a second, see if I'm missing something. I is less than type. Oh, let's see. Sorry, I see what I did there. Type get device. Why isn't it auto completing though? That's not a pointer. Get device names. Okay, it worries me that and then device list. Okay, I'm almost there. Yes. Almost there. Loop variable creates a copy. So this needs to be a reference. We will get there. Now, non-const L. Okay. Cannot bind to a temporary, so this needs to be const as well. Okay. Did that work? Oh, I still got a warning. Loop variable device lends to a temporary, so const auto, but not a reference. Okay, let's try this now. Okay. So now I'm going, so that's worked. Now I'm going to unplug the device. Okay, I saw something happen there. So let's see what happened there. Ooh, well that's not what I'm looking for. It's giving me a bunch of ints. That's not quite right. So I haven't, so close but not quite right. Okay, so let's just go back. So my logic isn't quite right here. So let's go back to the beginning again. So we have audio device manager. So you got get current audio device. That's not what we want. So we got get current audio device that returns an audio I/O device, right? I guess the thing is, returns the device's name. This is just about what I want. Except I want the string of audio I/O devices. Yes, this is get device names. virtual string array. Okay, so this is right. So we got get the available device types. Then we got for each type and device types. So let's just go down the line and test each part of this. So what does get device types return? Get current device types. Hold on, I'm getting all mixed up. Get available device types. Get available device types. So that returns a const owned array of audio device types. So now okay, so what we'll do is we'll just try to get the type name. Get type name. It auto-completed, which is a good. So let's just see if that works. Okay. So now we've got this. I'm going to plug in the USB device, and then we should see a bunch of. Okay. I don't know why. I don't even know what this is right here. These. So what am I missing here? Okay. I know how to get ignoring unreasonable value. I'm not sure why that's happening. That's so weird. Aha! There we go. Core audio. So that works. That's what I was looking for. So we know that works so far. So that's the only type name. Then we need, so we got for the type, each type, then we need, so that worked. Then we need get device names. Returns the list of available devices in this type. Yeah, so this is where it breaks down. Okay. So then that gives a device list, which is a string array. Okay, Wavemorpher has said, what about scan for devices? Okay, so let's take a look at that. Scan for, where is that at? Is that in audio device setup? So where is scan for devices? So there's, so let me get rid of that. Scan for devices. Okay, cool. So refreshes, no, so scan for devices refreshes the object's list of known devices, but it doesn't return the device, the actual device names though. It's definitely this, get device names, which returns a virtual. This is what I don't quite understand, what the virtual aspect of this string array. So scan, this must be called, oh, aha. Yes, you're right, wave morpher. Refreshes the object's cached. This must be called at least once before calling get device names. Wow, I would have never ever caught that. So scan for devices. So that's why that's. So it must be called once before get device names. So that's in the, wow, good catch. Holy moly, I would have never found that. Device, so type scan for devices. I'm just going to put a little comment here. According to docs, this must be called at least once before calling get device names. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay. Clicking, building. Okay. Now I'm gonna plug in the MIDI device. Okay. Did it do something? If it did, I didn't see it. Actually, can't I just do this? Like call JAssert false. So that it just stops right after that. Yeah. So in this case, there's only going to be one. Okay. So that did the trick. But once again, it's just the device is an int. Why? So it's returning a string array. Ah, it's just. Is there like get value or something like that? That's what I think is happening. So device list is a string array. But then device, there must be what's like, So I'm just trying to call something on, so string array, get reference, yeah. Okay, so let's just try that. So for less than device list dot size. See out device list I dot no, get index, what was it? Get reference. Get reference count. Can I just do that? Or maybe it's because it's not. Okay. No, that returns a string. And there one like two stood string. Two stood string. Uh-oh, what happened? Device list. So this is no member name size in string. Oh. What am I doing? So get device name. So I get it. Get device names return is the string. Device and get device names. Device name. Get device name. Then this would need to go outside of this. Okay, I think we're getting there now. Device name. Okay, I think I got it now. Okay. What is going on here? Ah, here we go. I think I got it now. Okay. Build succeeded. Yes, it worked. I can see it worked. Boom. DJ MS9, Universal Audio Thunderbolt, and then it comes to this where I intentionally broke the, where I intentionally paused. That's fantastic. So that actually works. Woo, that took a little while, but we got there. So, so Satarak asks, hello everyone, I am new. Can you explain what you're trying to do since I don't have any experience in audio programming? So what we're currently doing is we are, so imagine that we were setting up any sort of audio app like a DAW or or a DJ app, and that you connect a MIDI device, and you want that MIDI device to automatically load as the default, as the input and output audio device, and the input and output MIDI device. So that's essentially what we're doing. We've set up the audio device manager. Then we set up a device scanner that when you plug in a device into using your USB into your computer, that it looks through all the devices, identifies if the device is one of the listed devices in your list, and if it is, then it loads it as the device. So so that's essentially what we were looking for. So we've just gotten to the stage where we have this device scanner that when you plug in the device, it now scans through all the different device types and the device names in the device types, and if it matches one of the desired types that you're looking for, that it will do something. And now we're going to I'm going to give maybe about 10 or 15 minutes more, and in that time what we're going to try to do is set our audio device now to the new device, set the MIDI device to that device as well. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so so we can say if the device name is equal to mixer is just this JUCE string, then we'll just say we just want to make sure that this actually works when we connect the mixer. So I'm going to disconnect my mixer. I'm going to build. So build succeeded. Now when I plug in the mixer, what we want to happen is for it to hit this if device name equals mixer, success, and then it'll pause execution. Okay, Boom. There we see it worked. So we see that I plugged in the mixer, it consoled out success, and now it's paused execution. So all of that worked, right? So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we, so going back to, once again, our abstraction, set audio input and output to the device, set the MIDI and input output to the device, set the sample rate and buffer size to desired settings. Okay, so now we're just going to do that. So I see Jas has just signed online. Hey Jas, hope you're well. And so now we're going to do that. So now we're going to go all the way back to, we're going to go back to all this, the audio device manager. And we're going to now see how we can actually set the sample rate, set the buffer size, and all of those things. So what we have here is we have, I remember this now from doing this last time. We have this audio device manager, audio device setup, which I believe is like a struct that contains the output device name, input device name, sample rate, buffer size. Basically what we can do is we want to then we want to basically create another audio device setup that, and then what we can do is we can give it the new attributes that we want, and I believe we can set the audio device setup. So that's how we would do that. So set audio device setup, that returns a string, and then we can just look at that string, make sure that it's indeed what we want. So big shout out to Typewriter. What's up, Skylar? Been a long time, man. Hope you're well. You're in Chicago, right? Didn't you do what was the plugin that you did again, Skylar? That was really successful. Remind me again. So okay, so if the device name is the mixer, now what we want to do? Yes, Drip. Yes, the developer of Drip is in the house. What's up, Skylar? Great to see you. We need to catch up again. If you're still on Skype, let's catch up. Okay, so now what we need to do is create a new audio device setup, pass in new settings, i.e. audio, MIDI, inputs, outputs, sample rate, and buffer size. Then set audio device manager to new settings. Okay, so let's see if we can do that. So create a new audio device setup. So we will say JUCE audio device manager, audio device setup, new Setup, new device settings. That sounds better. So we got this. So that's a struct. So now we just need to fill in these settings. So output device name, input device name. So then, here we go. We got new device settings. What was it called? Output device name. Is equal to mixer. New device settings. Input device name is equal to mixer. New device settings. Sample rate is equal to 48,000. Then, so this sample rate should be a double, so I'm going to take this F off of here. Buffer size, we will put it to 64. Device settings equal to, and then what should this be? An int 64. Set of active input channels. So how do I do this? I remember this was this had me messed up for a little while. I might actually just look at what I did before, because I remember this confused the heck out of me. So it's where you set the number of bits. The bits that are set in this array indicate the channels of the input device that are active. If use default input channels is true. Okay, so let's go back here. Use the device's default channels. So input channels and output channels. Okay. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at how I did this in the other. So let's see, big integer. Got it. Okay, so you set So you can set the range. So let's see, there's a function called set range. Which is start bit, number of bits. So basically where you start the channel from and where you want to set them to. So it's something like this, like JUCE, big integer, input channels, JUCE, big integer, output channels, then new device settings, set, or let's see, input channels, let's see, how did I do this? So it was like input channels, set range, and then I'm just going to use what I have from my previous project, which is the number of input channels and output channels that we have, which is 4 and 8. So actually I did a pretty good job with this. So we got 0, oh, here we go, 0, 4, true, output channels, not set range, 0, 8, and true. But now in retrospect, I see a cooler way that I could do this. I could actually make mixer. So previously I had mixer with just a whole set of values, but the better way would actually be to create a new class mixer that inherits from audio device manager, audio setup, and then put all of these in like this, and that would probably look a little bit neater. Input channels equals input channels, new device settings, output channels equals output channels. Then you have to say, now you have to set device manager, set audio device setup, and then new setup would be new device settings, treat as chosen device, I guess would be true. Yeah, feels pretty solid. Okay, so now we're going to compile that. We're going to connect the mixer, and then if everything is working properly, then the mixer should automatically set our so let's see what happens here. So here we go. We got Universal Audio Thunderbolt. So now when I plug in this device, we see that the sample rate is 44,100, buffer size is 512. When I plug in the device, it should set the output and the input to the DJM-S9. It should select 8 output channels, 4 input channels, set the sample rate to 48,000 and the buffer size to 64. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Boom. The only thing that it didn't do is, so it did set the sample rate, set the samples. The only thing that I can see that it didn't do is set the active output and input channels to the desired to the number of channels that I wanted. Not sure why that happened. Yes, that could require some more investigation. So, wondering why that is happening. Let me see what I had with my previous code that was working. Input channels, da da da. Yeah. Yeah. That's the only thing that I don't quite get. Is why it didn't set the number of input and output channels to the correct number. I think I know why. I know why now. So let's go, I think I know why anyway, which is that if we go back here, I've set the maximum number of input and output channels to 2. So if I put 8 and 8 here, I will unplug the mixer again. We will build this again. And there we go. So now I'm going to plug in the device. Now it should select still only selecting 2. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back very briefly to audio device selector. Okay. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to call initialize. Yeah. So Jess asks, does the program still use absolute values to display waveform? Yes, it still uses just absolute values to display the waveform, so no fancy FFT stuff at the moment. Do I do clean builds every time? No. No, I don't, but maybe I should. It's a new project at the moment, so So I don't think I need to do clean builds yet. Typewriter asks, is it in the JUCE channel config? Yes. So that's what I was thinking, is that, well, the audio device selector component, so do I need to initialize? Do I need to call initialize again? So let's see here. Device manager initialize. Number of input channels needed 4. Number of output channels needed 8. Save state null pointer, and then select true. Okay, so let's try that now. So I'm going to disconnect now. We will try it one more time. Okay. So here's our setup. I've plugged it in. Yes, it worked. Or sort of worked. So it initialized, but it didn't. So it selected the right amount of channels. So this is, maybe I need to put it here. All right, let's try this. Unplug it. There we go. Plug it in. Boom, there we go. It worked. Fantastic. That is what I call a success. That was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool session. So yeah, so that's essentially how scanning MIDI devices, setting the MIDI device to the proper sample rate and buffer size, setting how many input and output channels we want to do. I should probably do a tutorial on this. That was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for everybody who tuned in and everything. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, this is week 3 of the live stream, trying to do one of these every week. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm going to try to do this every Wednesday at around 2 p.m. EST. And that's it, basically. For now, I'm going to let y'all go. Thanks again to everybody who tuned in. And speak to you next time.